There is a subtle, quiet moment that almost everyone over the age of 60 experiences eventually, though very few people ever talk about it openly. You might be sitting in your favorite chair, reading a book or watching television, and you decide it is time to get up. You are not feeling particularly tired, and you are certainly not rushing, but as you begin to shift your weight forward to stand, your body hesitates. It is a split-second pause. Your hand instinctively reaches out to grab the armrest or the edge of the table, not necessarily because you physically cannot stand up, but because your internal sense of balance feels just a little bit unsure. That tiny hesitation, that brief moment where your brain checks in with your knees and your hips to ask if they are ready, is one of the most important signals your body will ever send you. Most people dismiss this. They chalk it up to a bad night's sleep or stiffness from the weather, or simply the inevitable slide of getting older. But as a doctor, when I see that hesitation, I do not see weakness. I see a communication issue. It is a message from your nervous system that the trust between your brain and your body is beginning to fray. The good news, and the reason I am sharing this with you today, is that this process is not permanent. It is not a one-way street. There is a way to rebuild that trust, and it does not require a gym membership, heavy weights, or hours of painful exertion. It requires understanding one single, fundamental movement that acts as a reset button for your body's stability system. This isn't about becoming a bodybuilder or trying to recapture the fitness you had in your 30s. This is about functional independence. It is about the ability to move through your home, to navigate a flight of stairs, or to walk down a garden path without that nagging background noise of uncertainty. We are going to explore a specific way of moving, a modified, therapeutic approach to the sit-to-stand pattern that wakes up the dormant connections in your nervous system. By the time we are finished here, you will understand exactly why your body hesitates, and more importantly, you will have a clear, safe, and proven method to resolve it. If you have ever felt that moment of uncertainty, or if you simply want to ensure you never do, you are in the right place. Staying curious about how your body works is the first step toward changing it. It is wonderful to have you here with me, and I invite you to settle in as we break this down, layer by layer, in plain English. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room regarding exercise after 60. There is a lot of noise out there. You are often told to walk more, which is excellent advice, or to stretch more, which is also helpful. But walking and stretching often fail to address the root cause of that hesitation we spoke about. You can walk 3 miles a day and still struggle to get out of a deep sofa. Why is that? It is because walking is a repetitive motion. Your body is incredibly smart. Once it learns how to walk, it becomes very efficient at it, using momentum and gravity to help you along. However, standing up against gravity requires something different. It requires generating force from a dead stop. This demands a cooperation between your brain, your balance sensors, and your muscles that walking simply does not challenge. When you struggle to stand smoothly, it is rarely because your muscles have disappeared. It is usually because of a phenomenon we call neuromuscular inhibition. That sounds like a complex medical term, but think of it like a dimmer switch in your dining room. The lights, your muscles, are still there. The electricity, your energy, is still there. But the dimmer switch has been turned down. Your brain has dialed down the signal to your hip muscles and your thigh muscles, usually as a protective mechanism. Over the years, if we sit more and move with less intensity, the brain decides that full power isn't necessary. It starts to rely on your joints and your ligaments to hold you up, rather than your muscles. That is when you start feeling that stiffness and that uncertainty. The movement we are discussing today, this controlled sit-to-stand, turns that dimmer switch back up. It forces the brain to re-engage with the muscles, clearing the static on the line. Now, I want to be very specific about what I mean when I say squat or sit-to-stand. I am not talking about the exercises you might see athletes doing. We are not interested in deep, straining movements that hurt your knees. In fact, if your knees hurt, it is often because your hips have forgotten how to do their job. The movement we are looking for is a slow, deliberate transfer of weight that teaches your body to act as a single, cohesive unit again. Let's visualize why this matters for your long-term health beyond just standing up. When you perform this movement correctly, you are activating the largest muscle groups in your body, the glutes, the quadriceps, and the hamstrings. These muscles do more than just move you, they are effectively the engine room of your metabolism. As we age, our blood sugar regulation can become less efficient. High blood sugar can lead to inflammation, which leads to more joint pain, creating a vicious cycle. The large muscles of the legs are chemically hungry. They soak up glucose from your bloodstream to use as fuel. By engaging them regularly with this specific movement, you are not just building strength, you are helping to regulate your internal chemistry. Patients often report that after a few weeks of this, they don't just feel stronger, they feel like their energy is more stable throughout the day. They don't have that mid-afternoon crash. Furthermore, there is a profound connection between this movement and your sleep. This might seem like a stretch. How does standing up help you sleep? But follow the logic of the nervous system. When you feel unstable, even subconsciously, your brain stays in a state of low-level alert. It is constantly scanning for danger, worried about a fall. This keeps your stress hormones slightly elevated. When you retrain your balance and stability, your brain realizes it is safe. It can finally relax. We see this in clinical data where improved stability correlates with better, deeper sleep cycles. It is difficult to rest when your body feels unsafe in its own environment. So, how do we do this? How do we turn this medical concept into a practical daily habit? We are going to break this down into a calm, safe routine that you can try in the privacy of your own home. You do not need any special equipment, just a sturdy chair. I want you to find a chair that is stable. A dining chair is usually perfect. Avoid soft sofas for this, as they are too low and too squishy. Sit on the edge of the chair with your feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. This next part is crucial. I want you to pay attention to your ankles. Often, we tuck our feet back under the chair. I want you to bring them out so your heels are planted firmly. Now, sit up tall. Imagine there is a string pulling the top of your head toward the ceiling. Relax your shoulders. Before you even try to stand, we are going to practice the hinge. Place your hands on your thighs. Keeping your back straight, lean your upper body forward from the hips, nose over toes. Do not round your back, keep it straight. Feel how the weight of your body shifts into your feet. That shift is the secret. That is your center of gravity moving into a position of power. From this leaning position, press your heels into the floor. Imagine you are trying to push the floor away from you. Stand up slowly. I want you to count to 3 as you rise. 1, 2, 3. Do not pop up. Do not use momentum. By moving slowly, you force the muscles to do the work rather than letting momentum cheat the movement. When you reach the standing position, stand tall. Squeeze your glutes gently. Take a breath, feel stable. Now, we reverse it. And this, the sitting down part, is actually more important than standing up. Most people fall into their chairs. They let gravity take over for the last few inches. We are going to resist that. Send your hips back first, as if you are reaching for the chair with your bottom. Bend your knees and lower yourself for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Touch the chair softly. Control it all the way down. That is 1 repetition. It sounds simple, but if you do that correctly, focusing on the slow count and the smooth transition, you will feel your muscles working in a way they haven't in years. It might feel challenging at first. You might feel your legs shaking a little. That shake is not weakness leaving the body, it is the nervous system waking up. It is the dimmer switch turning up. If you find this difficult, that is completely normal. You can place a cushion on the chair to raise the seat height, making it easier. You can use a table or a countertop in front of you for support with your hands. The goal is not to struggle. The goal is to find a version of the movement you can control perfectly, and then build from there. I recommend starting with just 5 repetitions in the morning. That is it. It will take you less than 2 minutes. Do them while the coffee is brewing or before you have breakfast. Why the morning? Because it primes your nervous system for the day. You are telling your brain, we are active, we are stable, we are ready. It sets a tone for every other movement you make that day. As you get comfortable with this, usually after about 2 weeks, you might notice something interesting. You might stop thinking about the armrest when you stand up. You might find yourself turning to look behind you in the kitchen without grabbing the counter. These are the small, quiet victories of independence. We are not looking for applause, we are looking for the absence of fear. There is a psychological element to this that is worth mentioning. The fear of falling is a heavy burden. It narrows your world. It stops you from going to the shops, visiting friends, or walking in the park. By mastering this simple, fundamental motion, you are pushing back against that fear. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of handling your own body weight. That confidence is transformative. It changes your posture, not just physically, but mentally. You walk into a room differently when you trust your legs. If you are listening to this and thinking, I have arthritis, or I have a bad back, I can't do this, I hear you, and I want to reassure you that this movement, when done with support and control, is often the very thing that helps alleviate those pains. Joint pain often comes from the joint taking too much pressure, because the muscles aren't absorbing the shock. By waking up the muscles, you create a shock absorber system that protects the bone. However, always listen to your body. There is a difference between the discomfort of effort and the sharp pain of injury. If you feel sharp pain, stop. Adjust the height. Slow down. But do not give up on movement entirely. It is helpful to realize that you are not alone in this process. Thousands of people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s are quietly working on this exact same thing. They are reclaiming their mobility, one slow repetition at a time. It is a community of people who have decided that getting older does not mean settling for frailty. I would love to hear how this lands with you. If this explanation makes sense, or if you have noticed that hesitation in your own movements, share a thought with us. It helps others see that this is a shared human experience, not a personal failure. And if you have questions about the positioning, or if something didn't feel quite right when you tried it, let us know. We look at that feedback to understand how to explain things better next time. Let's look at a realistic timeline for results, because patience is key here. In the first week, the main change will be neurological. You will just feel a bit more connected to your legs. By week 3 or 4, if you are consistent with your 5 to 8 reps a day, you will likely notice physical strength returning. Steps will feel shallower. Getting out of the car will feel less like a military operation. By the 3-month mark, this movement becomes your new normal. The hesitation disappears, replaced by a fluid, reliable motion. Remember, health at this stage of life is not about being the fastest or the strongest. It is about reliability. It is about knowing that when you ask your body to do something, it will say less. The simple, slow, controlled sit to stand is your daily conversation with your body to ensure the answer remains yes. I want to leave you with this final thought. Your body is incredibly resilient. It is waiting for the right signal to repair and strengthen itself. You have not missed the boat. It is not too late. Whether you are 65 or 85, the mechanism for building strength is still there, waiting to be used. Start with 1 repetition if you have to. Use a high chair. Use your hands for support. But start. Thank you for spending this time with me. It is a privilege to share this information with you. If you found this helpful, and if you want to keep learning about how to navigate the years ahead with strength and clarity, staying connected with us is a wonderful way to do that. We will be here, exploring the practical, science-backed ways to live better, not just longer. Take care of your body. It is the only place you have to live. Start your practice today. Stay patient with yourself and enjoy the feeling of getting stronger.